Welcome to Beyond Survival, Triumphantly You, a space where extraordinary women share their journeys from struggle to strength. I'm Gwen Heinrichs, and in each episode, we sit down with survivors, fighters, and thrivers, women who have not only conquered breast cancer, but have turned their battles into purpose and empowerment. Their stories will uplift, inspire, and remind you that survival isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, Beyond Survival, Triumphantly You. Subscribe now and be a part of the journey. Hi, and welcome to Beyond Survival, Triumphantly You. And today we have a guest who is a woman whose story doesn't just inspire, it awakens. Tracy Lynn Jackson is joining us today, and she's walked through fire more than once. She's had heartbreak, loss, and a cancer diagnosis. And that came just as she was starting to rise. Most recently, she's lived through multiple hurricanes in our hometown, tearing her home apart and her town apart, her beloved town, I have to say, because she loves Siesta Key. But rather than let it define her, she chose to live fully, bravely, and openly. And she's now living proof that survival isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a more honest, more beautiful chapter. Her message is clear. You don't have to have it all figured out to be the messenger. And today she's here to remind us that healing is possible and that joy can still find us in the dark and that life, even with all its pain, is still happening for us. Tracy, welcome to Beyond Survival, Triumphantly You.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. So I met Tracy. First of all, I'll tell you a minute about myself. I am a breast cancer survivor. I went through all of my treatment, all of my journey in 2022, ended in 2023, started a skincare company to find skincare that was not endocrine disrupting and that was natural, plain and cure. Pure and clean. And I started that and then just decided to start interviewing women who were inspiring to me. And Tracy, you're one of those women. I started following you when I moved to Sarasota, when I saw one of your beautiful photos. I don't know if you remember that. And I asked if I could use your photo for something that I was
I
doing. And it was
do remember
gorgeous.
that. Actually, I did not remember it until this moment in time. That's right. That is how we, and then I heard you play music. And that's when I started following you, I think. So yeah,
Yeah.
funny how the world
Yes.
really are.
So it's been like 8 years I've known you and been
Yeah.
following you, and you're really inspirational to me. You had your breast cancer in 2021, if I remember correctly.
Actually, 2020, I was going through treatments. I was diagnosed in July of 2019. And so I went through treatments all through 2019 and into 2020. I finished my 31 rounds of radiation in January, right before COVID.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's get into it.
Get in.
So I've seen your writing. You're an inspirational writer, very poetic and very poignant. Everything that I've written, I mean, everything I've read that you've written is very inspirational and has um, struck me very deeply in my heart. I have
You're
to
going to make
say
me
that.
cry this early in, are you?
You've written, I've survived things, these are in quotes. I've survived things that should have taken me out. Can you take us back to one of those moments and what helped you stay standing when everything felt like it was falling apart for you?
Such a great question. There's been so many moments in my life that could have broken me. Cancer, of course, was a big one. The hurricanes lately kind of shook up my life a little bit. There were others, the loss of my soul dog, the ending of my marriage, the end of my last relationship. Moments where I felt so hollow and so empty that I feel like it should have broken me. And even in those spaces, I feel like I've never really been alone. Somehow the right person, the right moment, someone always showed up for me. And the hurricane is a perfect example. The day after the hurricane, a friend organized some stuff on Facebook, and 20 strangers were in my house helping to get the drywall out. And didn't want me to be living in a place of mold, because when you go through cancer treatments, at least the ones that I had, you can't ever be in the presence of mold. It can reignite your cancer, so it's really dangerous. And so, you know, having those people show up for me, when I found out I was going to lose my soul dog, a news crew contacted me and said, "Hey, we heard you and your dog are going through cancer together. We'd like to do a story." Sorry, give me just.
Yeah, that was
That was
a really
that
sad
was a
time
hard
in
one.
your life. I
But
know we didn't.
it's okay. But I'll have that. It's on YouTube. Florida girl and her dog survived cancer together. It's on YouTube, and I'll have that for the rest of my life. And I felt like that was such a gift. And I felt like when those things come in, it's like the universe is seeing me. And I started to notice a pattern. I really started to trust that goodness would be coming, and everything had a purpose, and things were happening for me and not to me. And as I started to really embrace that concept, more good kept showing up. It started flowing in, and not in ways I always expect, and not in ways that are always comfortable. But I've learned that every loss has created space for something better, and every struggle has made the good times so much more beautiful. And that was the shift for me. It seems like every time something falls away, something more beautiful shows up. This interview is another perfect example. And I think gratitude can take you a long way in life. It really can change the dynamic of what shows up.
Yeah. You did have a lot of people around you. I noticed when that hurricane hit, you had friends showing up from all
Complete
places to help
strangers.
you out. It's
They weren't
amazing.
friends. They weren't friends. They were complete strangers. I knew one. I knew one person that showed up at my house, and that was the amazing part. Is I had never met these people before, and it was such a beautiful experience. I was just walking around my house like in a daze, and they're carrying out drywall, and they're carrying out my appliances, and all the things from all the toxic relationships are out on the curb, along with my grandmother's birthday cards, right? And so it was this
Wow.
really unbelievable kind of emotional experience. Um, and it was such a gift. I don't know what else to say. It was just such a gift. And I feel like, some people say God provides, some people say the universe is working in my favor. I think that is all of it. That's all of it. That's what's kept me from falling apart.
Yeah. You talk about loving people who couldn't love you back. And this is part of both of our stories.
Yeah.
That kind of heartbreak does leave a scar. And what have you learned about self-worth and love through those particular experiences?
It came so clear to me in the last one. Um, Scars happen when we're disconnected. They happen when we're disconnected from ourselves, when we're disconnected from source. Um, we tend to forget that we're spiritual beings having this human experience, right? And we get so caught up in the ruminating and the minutia and the pain of what someone can someone who is incapable of loving you back in the way that you love them. And I think that the deepest scars I have were not actually caused by some of these people that came in. They were really caused by how much I abandoned myself. And understanding that really shifted me also. I was giving things to people that were incapable of receiving it, right? And what I needed to learn was to give myself that love and that compassion and that respect. And I mean, I'm a cancer survivor. That's huge, right? I mean, that should build a person up and make them feel powerful. And I didn't. I felt weak because I kept surrounding myself with these people. And that was my mistake. That's where, the scars weren't caused by them, they were caused by me. And people talk about healing and shadow work and trauma work and all these things. And of course, it has its place. But I think learning to show yourself compassion and really learning to respect yourself, your time, your energy, your ability to fight horrific diseases, the fact that you get up every day and you go back out into the world with your pain, it doesn't really allow you to give up on yourself. And I want to add one little thing. In one of the darkest moments of my life, following breast cancer, following the breakup, I decided to do some breath work, and not the kind that's like, the breathing and the relaxing, like some really difficult breath work where your fingers go numb, and your feet go numb, and it's very uncomfortable. And what it does is it really cracks things open. And in that process, my inner child came out. And I always thought I knew what inner child work was, right? I thought, oh yeah, inner child work, heal the one that was injured. I kind of wrote it off as this thing. And what I really learned is it's about having a conversation every day, every decision. How are you feeling today? And she came out fierce and fighting and said, I am tired of you not protecting me. I'm tired of you not respecting what we've been through. And, the conversation started. I hope to write a book on it someday, but the conversations are there. Do you want to take this job? Do you not want to take this job? Do you want to go on this adventure? Do you not want to go on this adventure? And it's kind of this form of checking in. And it's dramatically shifted the way I experience life.
Hmm, interesting. I do see you writing a book because you have so much to share. And I will definitely be a reader of that book
Well, you'll get a signed
when
copy.
you write it.
You'll get a
Um, yeah. Um, you said just when I started to find my footing, bam, cancer. How did that diagnosis shake your sense of identity and what it meant to truly live?
Yeah, wow. When I think back about cancer, it it's almost like it was surreal. Like I was so detached from it. Like my mother said something to me prior. So my mother had the same exact cancer that I had years prior, and so she was kind of my playbook, right? And I remember her saying to me, you won't even remember so much of this. Like it will go away like some distant memory. And at the
Like
time,
when we have babies or something. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and I haven't had a baby, but that she compared it to that. It's funny that you mentioned that. And it was such, you're in such a state of survival. It's like you're just getting through this chemo treatment, this port placement, this, drive to the facility this day, this week, right? And it's like you're chipping away slowly but surely at all of it. And it was a blip in the radar. I don't know how else to say. It was just it didn't shift who I was, but what it did do is it taught me the difference between surviving and living, and now I really make a point to live, not just survive. I think so many people are on autopilot, just surviving, and I at that time that's all you can do is survive. And once I was able to snap out of that, I knew I wanted to start living.
Yeah. I remember going through treatment, and all you can do is just keep doing the next right thing. You just keep going, keep going. It's like a locomotive on a track and you just keep going to the next stop, the next stop, the next stop, the next stop, and there's nothing, it's out of your hands. And and the only thing that you could do is maybe adjust how you're looking at it. But certainly that's all you are concerned with, feeling kind of like whack-a-mole, where you're everything that comes up, you handle, like the next thing and the next thing.
The next
But then
doctor's
it
appointment, the next this, the next that, and what do I have to do now? And it really, you are in just total survival mode. That's what it is. That's what that feeling is, and it's surreal. I'm not sure I
is.
can still process it. I just hit my 5-year mark in January, and I'm finally,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm finally off the aromatase inhibitors. I really struggled with them. I'm glad to be off of them. There was just there was so much physical pain, emotional pain, the treatments. I I don't know how anyone ever really gets peace with fighting something like that. There was no room for anything else, right? There just was no room. I lost my dog in the middle of those treatments to a
Right.
cancer, and I feel like I do need to mention him in this because I had this strange thing happening where I was having these dreams that he was taking my cancer from me. And during that time, his cancer came back and mine was cured. And I feel like that's what happened. That's why I get so emotional when I talk about him. That's one of the reasons, of course.
He was an angel for sure.
Oh, total angel, total angel. So it may not have shifted my identity, but it definitely brought me clarity. It brought me clarity on the difference between surviving and living.
Yeah, you were truly blessed to have him, and he was blessed to have you.
Yes.
Um, you describe yourself now as not just alive, but you're grateful. How did that shift come about? Where did you find your gratitude? How does one find gratitude when they feel like they have nothing to be grateful for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was always very emotional. I would cry at college graduations. I would cry at someone liking a birthday gift. Like I cry a lot. Like even in the beginning of this conversation, I find myself keep it together, keep it together. I, you know, I've always been really emotional, but I also was in a place where a victim of cancer, a victim of these relationships. It was consistent. My father was not a good dad, and it went on throughout my life. I kept picking these kinds of people, and it's always gratitude's always lived in me, but for a while it got buried under survival, right? And so, a big turning point, I think, was that I had beat the cancer, that I then let a person kind of destroy me and take me to the bottom of the barrel after overcoming all of this. And when I really pulled myself out of it, I started to find the little things every day: the sunset, the neighborhood I love, my home, my new dog, which was really hard to appreciate for a long time. Um, I really started to have those conversations with my inner child, and really started nurturing my spirit and telling myself how proud I was that I was doing Pilates, how proud I am that I'm, doing these things that are good for me and healthy for me. I know that you've been on an alcohol-free journey for a time. When we last spoke, I told you I hadn't had anything since December 31st, and I'm not an alcoholic, but it's like a gift I give to myself every day, just making my body clean and pure, and it's just been so beautiful. So it's finding gratitude in those small things, and holding space for myself, right? Um, Again, it's almost like the gift that keeps on giving. The more you're grateful, the more good things come in. I just got my dream job. It's just like everything is finally. I had 5 years of hell. Cancer, bad relationship, a full dog loss, and then when I finally really, it was that nothing happens to me, everything happens for me. Something about that statement, I look at it in everything I do. If I get stuck in traffic, if I get lost, if I'm running late to an appointment, if I screw up at a meeting, if I, all of it. Okay, why is this happening for me? What's the gift? What's the gift? What's coming in next? You know,
And
and
we don't always know what that gift is, but to have faith that there is a gift in it is
yeah,
a big part of that, right?
that's exactly it. The things that are happening may not always be good, but there is something good in them if you know what to look for. We always find what we're looking for. It's really this simple psychology. If I say, "Hey Gwen, I want you to notice every time you see a red car in the next week." Now every time you're going to see all these red cars, right? Because that's how energy flows. That's how it works. And it's the same with gratitude. You know, find as much gratitude as you can in every single day, in every single week, and you it'll be hard to be sad.
Yeah. Um, when many years ago, I was angry with somebody who I felt hurt me, and I went to sleep, and I had a dream, and as I was waking up, I heard this voice, and it said, "You are not a victim," and it really jarred me because it was a stern voice. It wasn't like it wasn't loving or caring or anything like that. It
Like,
was
get
kind of
over
like
it.
somebody was scolding me, like,
Nice.
stop playing the victim. And it was something that, as I said, jarred me, and so I began to think about that. And you're saying life is happening for us, not to us, reminds me of that, and that was so powerful. That turned me around. I cannot even tell you. You are not a victim. 5 words that completely turned my life around at that point, and it was
It's
so
interesting how
powerful.
that, yeah, it's interesting how, they say the teacher will appear when you're ready. I mean, how many times have we heard you're not a victim, or you have all this great stuff, or, it's happening to me, not, or for me, not to me. And we all hear it, right? It's very easy, especially when you're diagnosed with cancer, especially when you have a shitty dad, right? Especially when you give
Right.
shitty men, right? I mean, excuse my language, but let's be honest, it's easy to go, I have a bad picker, or or something must be wrong with me. I'm the common denominator. But what is really profound is when you realize, well, it keeps happening over and over again, and I'm clearly not learning. So what am I missing here? And that's where the inner work really, really starts. And yeah, and I think that the next step for me was from 4 to 2, happening for me to, not to me, was now I don't even grieve the losses anymore. It's almost weird. This is a new development for me. So I lost a friend recently. It was painful. We've been friends for a really long time. She wasn't treating me right, so I had to, cut the friendship, and it was hard for me. But there was no sadness wrapped around it because I thought she took so much space in my life. What's coming now? Like, I got so much space left, and I can't wait to see the good things that come in. It's like I almost go from, like, there's no mourning period. I just go right into excited. Like, cool, the universe is, opening up space for me. What's coming now? And the job came. So it was, that's just how it works, I think, for me.
Amazing. Yeah. So what kind of role, you talk about laughter sneaking in during grief? Can you find a moment where joy surprised you when you least expected it? What kind of role does laughter play in your life?
It was so hard for me to laugh for so long. And this question's hard for me. But I will say the best, most beautiful bursts of laughing till you cry moments I have with my mom. She'll
Oh,
say something or do something, or she's in the antique business, so she has all this stuff, and she'll find something. And, she's never lost her sense of humor. She is so positive and loves life so much, and she's like 80. And so she's got a sense of humor that I wish I had. My sense of humor is a little bit dark, but my mom's is beautiful and bright, and she's hilarious. And I visit her a couple times a year, and she came with me and went to treatments with me and stuff. And we love to sit and play gin rummy, when we're hanging out. And she just says the funniest stuff, and she'll make me just laugh till I cry. And it was like that when I was going through cancer treatments. I was so lucky to have her with me through that. But those are the moments. I mean, in the worst times of my life, my mom oftentimes can make me laugh.
Sweet. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. We are going to stop. Speaking of beauty, we're going to stop for a minute
Sure.
and have a word from our sponsor, Blissfully Bare Skincare. It's my skincare line. Has your skin been through hell and back? I'm Gwen Heinrichs, founder of Blissfully Bare Skincare. After my fight with breast cancer, my skin changed, and so did my standards. I needed skincare I could actually trust. And while there were plenty of products out there, I couldn't really be sure they were safe for skin that had been through so much like mine. So I created Blissfully Bare, clean, effective, bioactive skincare made with wonderful ingredients like snow mushroom for deep hydration, bromelain for gentle exfoliation, and chamomile and cucumber to calm and soothe and restore your skin. No phthalates, no parabens, no hormone disruptors ever. Ready to feel good in your skin again? Click the link in the comments to shop our beautiful collection, because nothing compares to Bare. Okay, we're back. Tracy, I have one last question for you. Um, you wrote, maybe I'm here to give hope to the ones that are still drowning in survival. What would you say right now to someone listening who feels like they're still underwater? And what else do you want to do for women who feel like they are still drowning?
A big one. Um, well, first of all, everything is temporary. If I can just say one thing, everything is temporary. We have to remember that there's been times where we've struggled and we've been through things, and I would remind them that there were other times that, they've been through hardships, and after those times, the most beautiful things have happened. Maybe some of them have had children, great relationships, or there's the bad times are designed, or the difficult times are designed to help the good times that are coming be even more poignant. And I would just remind them of that, just to have faith that this is temporary, this may be painful. Women are so strong, and we have not really gotten the notoriety of being the stronger of the sexes. But the reality is, we are strong. I don't think men could handle childbirth, which you mentioned earlier. I think that we are coming to a time in our lives where women are really starting to shine, where our power is really starting to grow and show. And I think it's really important to tap into that. So I would say hold space for yourself. I will hold space for you, and surround yourself with other powerful, beautiful women who want to lift you up. And if you don't have
Beautiful
one, you can call me. I'm
message.
online. You can reach out to me. I'll lift you up.
And where can people reach out to you?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I do have a business, CSDQ Pop-Up Proposals. I do surprise proposals on the beach, so you can reach me through my website. There is my contact information. I'm really introverted, so I don't get out much, but I do go listen to music sometimes, and of course, you can always reach out to me on Facebook.
Wonderful. Tracy Lynn Jackson, that's your handle under Facebook,
It is,
right?
it is. Or Peace
And you
Love.
have
Some
pop.
people call me Peace Love.
Oh yeah, peace love. That's right. And
Yes,
at pop-up proposals,
yes,
which is a
yes.
beautiful idea. I've always loved that. That's wonderful. It must be very edifying to be able to help people
So I'm
with
single,
a
right?
special time in their life.
I'm single. So I figured if I wasn't going to find love, I could surround myself by it. And so that really was the motivation behind that business. And I get to bask in the glory of love and engagements and happiness, and and it's a beautiful experience.
And those little cabanas that you design are gorgeous. And the
Thank you so much.
photography is beautiful. So I highly recommend your pop-up proposals to people
Thank
looking for a
you.
special
Well,
engagement
and I
experience.
and I highly recommend your skincare. It's beautiful. I've been using it. I woke up this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful. I love it. So thank you for giving me some of that. And it's just up to us women to share our beauties with each other.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. And I am going to be following you, continue to follow you and all the wonderful things you write and responding to the beautiful things that I see you writing and composing on Facebook and everywhere else. And I appreciate you being here. Thanks, Tracy.
I'm honored. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye, hon.